Now, to introduce the two gentlemen of the hour for our Fireside Chat, please help me with a round of applause for our Executive Chairman for Africa Energy Chamber, NJ Ayuk. Welcome. In conversation with founder of Blackwater, welcome, Erik Prince.
Thank you.
Erik,
NJ, how are
thank you for coming.
Nice to be here.
You know, I think this is one of the special conversations that most people don't realize is so important. We have had conversations over the last few days about new opportunities, energy access, energy poverty, but I think we don't really deal with issues around energy security in a sense where securing energy assets, offshore, onshore, and everything. So I'm going to have a conversation with you about a few countries or a lot of regions, but I want you to start these conversations by giving us the state of African energy security when it comes to protecting assets. Let's just start from Algeria and we'll walk right down to Mozambique. And I would interrupt you where necessary and I'll probe more. So I'll let you go.
Well, thanks. And I have to say congratulations on building a great movement here.
Thank you.
To stand in the face of kind of the green lie and helping Africa unlock this amazing potential. And as I alluded to yesterday in another panel, Texas is super investable. It's almost like it's a utility because it's been de-risked. And so I think it's our goal to help Africa become to be de-risked because there's so much opportunity, but some capital will be reluctant to, or the cost is very high because of that uncertainty. So as you look at the entire Sahel, when Libya melted down in 2011, all those arms leaked all over the Sahel, and it's caused a lot of secondary problems. Algeria feels it in the south. Mali, Burkina, Niger, all suffering for it, to the point that almost state capture. They had coups because those soldiers were sick of getting killed, even though there was a lot of help from the French or the U.S. For all the techno capability of the French and the U.S., they never finished and they never put the fire out. And it's extremely frustrating because all those people are suffering with that arbitrage of potential versus the conflict that they're faced with. I think the entire counterterrorism approach of the West has been really wrong for the last 25 years because they've been focused in constantly using drones to just find the leader. If they say, if we just cut the head of the snake off, the body will die. That's not how wars are won. You have to go after the manpower, finance, and logistics, the bottom of the pyramid, so that that leader, when he wakes up in the morning, looks left and looks right, and there's nobody left, then it's over. So there's a much more cost-effective, practical way for the private sector working with those governments to build capability, to smash. As I also said in the panel yesterday, we are all about building local content. When the private sector comes in to build those security capabilities, again, not as a security company just protecting an oil field, but literally embedding with and building the security capability of police and military, it's all about how to make the locals perform better and how to make them succeed so that they have something long-term, affordable, and sustainable. So that's a fixable issue in the Sahel. The problem is you have an extremely elusive enemy that's hard to find, easy to kill once you find them. And so the right tools with the right rules of engagement will do that. As you work your way around the coast, Nigeria also suffering from the same problems.
Pipelines
from the north.
Pipelines. We see piracy. We see problems from the north of the Sahel coming down.
Nigeria is a particularly frustrating one for me because I've offered to come in for the government and solve the oil theft problem in the south.
Yeah.
By current math, it's the single largest organized crime problem in the world. I think there's about $28 billion worth of oil stolen per year. And it feeds a systemic corruption in the area, and it also makes the area less investable. I understand why the people in the Delta are upset because they're not benefiting from the oil coming out of those areas.
But you know, if you should look at oil theft and pipelines in Nigeria, do you know a lot of that dark trade, it's really affecting Africa even more than anything because the people in the Delta, They are so mad because that's 20, 28 billion dollars worth of revenue that we are not seeing, but a cartel is seeing that, and it needs to be stopped. And can that be stopped?
Yes, it can. Because here's the thing, it's not like you're stealing diamonds and you can put it in a backpack. You need industrial capacity to move that much oil. So it's pretty easy to find and locate and to seize that level of barge traffic because you need 500,000, 5,000 ton barges to move that much volume. And actually doing a proper assay job, because the other way it's stolen is they'll pay someone to top up an extra 50 or 100,000 barrels on a tanker. So again, if there is a willpower at the leadership level of the Nigerian government, they can solve it. And they're even getting a lot of bad, really bad press because there's been a real problem of Christians being killed in the north, again, leaking down from the same problems in the Sahel.
More than bad press, there's also the issues with underinvestment because if you want to invest in, we talked about making Africa investable just like Texas. If you want to invest in a country like Nigeria and you think about all your crude oil is going to be stolen or parts of it, then it makes it even more difficult. That's why you see most IOCs are moving into deep offshore. But I'm not done with you yet. I still want to go down. You know, we have, look at the Gulf of Guinea, big piracy issues. We've seen that where there's been potential for attacks on energy infrastructure, be it around Equatorial Guinea or Gabon or Congo Brazzaville, going right down to Angola. How do we start finding pragmatic, common sense solutions, working together with oil companies to protect these assets and also working with sovereign nations as well?
Sure. Building counter piracy capacity is really not that hard. In 2009, that's why I moved to the UAE in the first place, because of Somali piracy, which was raging hard then. There was 85, 90 ships taken per year, and they would sit on the ships anchored off the coast. You know, you didn't need some high dollar spy satellite to figure out where the pirates were. If you flew the coast and you say, there's a 1,000-foot long VLCC anchored there, that's clearly a pirate base. And so we built the Puntland Marine Police Force, a Somali police unit with professional Western advisors that went with them, and we just interrupted the pirate logistics because they would go to sea and grab that ship, but they have to pay their guards and feed their guards for 6 months to a year while they're waiting for the ransom to get paid. We just dried up their ability to do that, and piracy went away. That unit went active in 2011, and by 2012, the rate of attacks went to almost zero. So this is not that hard. In the Gulf of Guinea, those pirates are moving by boat and they're communicating with electronics. If they emit electrons, we can find them, we can locate them, and we can make sure they don't do it again.
Can we have a collaboration with the oil sector? Has always been very passionate about supporting governments to fix this. Is it possible working with companies, firms like yours, engaging with the energy sector, working together with governments to get this done?
Sure, and it can be done as part of a fee structure because the oil companies don't want to be seen paying for it. They want the government to do it. Fine, governments can contract for that level of capability, and especially, and it's even much cheaper for them if they share the load between Nigeria, EG,
Gabon.
and the others, Gabon, all the other, and Cameroon, all the guys that are suffering from it. That's an easy fix to do it jointly.
But you know, tomorrow we're going to be having potentially the force majeure in Mozambique is going to be lifted. You know Cabo Delgado. You've seen. Take us around that because I think if you look at the Gulf of, if you look at the Niger Delta, you look at some of the Cabo Delgado, seeing what has happened there, it being secured right now, or for us to get that force majeure lifted. How do we engage to get a better Mozambique so that Total can build that LNG facility and Exxon can build that LNG facility in, and also look at it for a long term so that nobody's scared to invest?
Sure. What I'm sure any major IOC wants to see is predictable, reliable, local capacity to counter that problem. That doesn't exist right now yet. The band-aid has been to send about a brigade worth of Rwandan troops who are largely doing static security, but they really haven't finished the problem of these jihadi bandits that are hiding in the forests and attacking at will. The sad thing is that is a sponsored insurgency. There is one major gas producing country that I think started that problem, to block Mozambique's development, and they're still suffering from it. It is possible to put that fire out because it is not. I don't think it's a widely supported insurgency. But again, building local capability. If the bad guys are moving by foot, you have to move by vehicle. If they're moving by vehicle, you have to be able to move by air. And so, good surveillance, a little bit of air mobility to get in front of the enemy, to surround and destroy them. That's how it needs to be done.
But how does it get? How does it come when we talk about building capacity locally in Mozambique? Would you rather engage the Mozambican government to really be able to drive that? Because Cabo Delgado is still going to be under red alert, whether we like it or not, because because right now, once force majeure is lifted in Mozambique, then people want to attack it again. How do we go from the surveillance that the Rwandans are doing to have special forces or some kind of protection that ensures that these facilities are not being hurt with constant attacks?
You need to have capability that when something bad happens, or in something is about to happen, where you've picked it up through intel, that you can reliably deploy force and get there in a timely manner, by helicopter, by aircraft, by vehicle. And there's no room for inshallah, right? The excuse is, well, maybe tomorrow, or if God wills it. No, you must go immediately with no excuses. And until you have that level of reliability, just like an oil company says, all right, we're drilling, we're going to make sure we have the pipe, the mud, diesel fuel for the generators, all those things lined up, the same level of discipline, right? The mentorship that can be applied to build local security capacity, if you provide leadership, intelligence, communications, medical, and logistics expertise, so that there's a continuous chain of capability. That's how it makes it reliable.
You know, there's a lot of stuff people don't know that you actually do in Africa. You are actually investing in this continent with your own money and building companies here. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, particularly our model this time is not to be a defense contractor. We would rather be a fulfillment partner, really, for sovereign governments. So in the case of the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, we are there to help them collect their taxes from all the major mining companies because of difficult logistics, corruption, and just hard logistics. We are building a Garde de Finance, a tax police, to help audit, collect taxes from the mines, and build border security to restore stability in the east. There's a lot of mineral gangs. There's an ISIS affiliate. There's Codeco. And of course, there's M23, sponsored by the Rwandan government, that has invaded the DRC and carved off a bunch of their terrain. So over time, there's a peace agreement, should be in place. The Rwandans, the M23, are supposed to be pulling back. There's capability to make sure that they do that so that peace can be restored in the DRC, and the mining and the energy space can fully be developed. So again, we're there to help facilitate trade in difficult places, perform function in government. In this case, we're helping with taxes, and we help them project capability and force if necessary.
How about Libya?
So Libya has been a challenge for, you have effectively two parallel countries. You have the West, you have the East. The Turks have come in very heavily in Misrata. Misrata is a former Turkic colony from the Ottoman days, and they really projected power from there. Versus Haftar in the east, the Russians have also come in very strong because they lost their bases in Syria, Tartus and Latakia. So the Russians have consolidated there. The Russians can't support any other operation in Africa unless they have a place to refuel their aircraft. Before they refuel in Syria, now they have to refuel in Libya. So you have kind of a split country with enormous potential. I think they're at about 1.2 to 1.5 million barrels a day. They should be 4 to 5.
That's right.
And if stability can, I think if you can bring production back to 3 and 4 and 5 million barrels a day, it's going to buy peace, or at least rent it, because both sides will be satisfied. Their bellies will be full. They're not going to be scrabbling over who's in this position or what. There's going to be enough money to be made, which will be great for the region, great for North Africa, and great for Europe as well, because that's a good energy supply for them, both gas and oil.
Erik, you draw from not just an African experience, but a big global experience. And I think you always in the house with investors, banks, and policymakers, and true people that see Africa. If there is an African official here, what would you tell them that you need or a potential investor would need to put money in this that they need to do so you or a potential investor to put money and make this destination this continent an investment destination of choice, just like the state of Texas?
As we've been hearing from many of the presentations here, there is enormous proven resource in the ground in Africa, all over the place, onshore, offshore, everywhere else. But the investors need three things. They need that proven resource. They need a predictable rule of law that if they put their money to work, they can pull money out at the proper time. And three, they need a predictable enough security environment that they don't have to worry, like has happened unfortunately in Mozambique, that armed maniacs run over energy camps, killing as many people as possible. If you do those three things, a lot of good will flow.
Thank you, Eric. It's truly an honor. You've always been a hero, and on behalf of many in this room, it's truly an honor to have you come spend time with us. And Cape Town is your home. Come always.
Nice
Thank you,
place.
sir. It's an honor.
Congrats. Cheers.